Hi, and welcome to Geekoffalash's channel. And today we're going to play a few games. I might be interrupted here and there today, waiting on a few deliveries. I might be able to do an unboxing, so there might be an unboxing today. Got a couple other things up my sleeve. We will be taking breaks at each hour mark, so that's 1 hour from now, and obviously 2 hours from now. And we're going to see where we get from there. Also, what you're seeing up here is after my beautiful. After my views for the headsets and keyboards and stuff, I decided to do some builds for Australia. I'm using a particular site. It's called PCCasegear.com. Um, they have some really good stuff. It's a reasonable price. They're shipping. Man, it depends on what part of Australia you come from, but all this is going to be in Australian dollars. And what I've done is I've done an under 1,000, under 1,500 and under $2,500 build. The rules are basically you must have a monitor, keyboard, mouse and software. So this is for the people that are this is their first ever computer, they don't have anything. And hopefully the other attribute is upgradability. I want it so that people can upgrade. So you're going to see some parts in here that you're going to be going, why? Why that little RAM or why that? A lot of it is just due to the fact that it's comes under the thing of can you upgrade it. So we're going to start off obviously with the small one. This is Geekoffaleash under $1,000 AUD, $997. Depending on what you got, you can change a few different things. And here we go. So first of all, the case. I've gone to the Thermaltake Black Versa H24 mid-tower case chassis. It's $59. It's pretty much got what you need in there. It is a basic case. They say tool-free designs. Obviously, it's got your microphone, headphone jack, and a USB 3.0 port, and a USB 2.0 port in the top. It's just a standard case. There's nothing beautiful about it. It's got your 5.25-inch bays if you need them, and it's got your SSD mounts and hard drive mounts. Cable management, hard to tell. There is cable management holes there, so I don't know how much clearance you've got, but generally speaking, it's not too bad. The best thing about it is you've got like your front intake. You can have a 120mm front one, 120mm rear, and I think you can actually put two 120mm in the top as well. So you got lots of handy installation. It's wide enough that you can put like an actual CPU cooler, like a fresh cooler in there. It's got the cutout of the 3.5-inch, 2.5-inch base. So you can put your decent graphics cards on there. It's an ATX tower, so you can pretty much put whatever you want in there. It's a good cheap case. Like I said, it's got the little bowing bit out there. I'm pretty sure there is a window version available, but at the moment it's just a good cheap case, and for the money of $59 Australian, it's upgradable. You can put in a better board, you can put in better graphics cards, and the mounts how they are. You could put like a 120mm cooler in the top if you wanted to. I don't think you can do a 140 to 240 though. Or you could probably put the 120mm cooler in the back. So there's little things you can do there. So I think that's a good case for $59. So we're going to go back, and next I'm going to go for a motherboard. Believe it or not, we're actually going DDR4 stuff. So remember what I said about upgradability? This is also an MATX board. I'm not going for ATX on this one. You look at $89. It only goes up to 2133 megahertz, and there's only 2 DIMM slots. 4 USB 3.0s, a couple SATA, 4 SATA 3s, 6 USB 2 ports. It's got gigabit LAN, 7.1 audio, blah blah blah, HDMI out, and being gigabyte, it's got your 3-year warranty on it. So again, it does all your usual jargon. At the end of the day, does it look good? Not really. It's got a brown motherboard, but everything's black and white. does have your audio separator for your audio, which is quite different. It's only got a 4-pin 12 volt, so you won't be doing overclocking on this board, or if you are, you only be getting like a couple of percent. Not probably worth it. But like I said, this is a budget system. You've got to get under $1,000. You've got a system fan header there. You've got USB 3.0 front port, and then you've got obviously one PCI slot, express slot, and then you've got your other smaller ones if you want to put in a sound card or a wireless card or something like that. You can do that on this board. Fan headers, I think there's only the GPU and a system fan. Oh, yeah, CPU fan, system fan. I think that's about it for fan headers. There's not much on this board. It's got obviously your front audio jacks, your front USBs, and just your normal clear CMOS button. So nothing spectacular about it. You can see it from that angle. It looks more black than brown. I think that's just the way the photo's taken. It looks much prettier on that angle. So that is the board. Remember, that was the Gigabyte H110M H motherboard. Like I said, micro ATX. So you got a bit of expansion there. Not a great deal, but when you come in under $1,000 with everything, it's pretty hard to get that value. Then you go for an Intel Pentium G4400. Now, it's a 3.3 gigahertz Pentium. It's only a dual core. It's $85. It will work with DDR4 stuff. And its maximum capacity that it uses is DDR2133, which is a perfect fit for the board because that's about as much as you can go on the board, so you really don't want to spend it. It's got a low wattage, but like I said, 3.3 gigahertz. It will run your most basic games and stuff like that. It's just a good starter machine, and the other advantage of it being $85 later on, because that board, the way it is, you could put later on, if you can save up enough money, just upgrade that to an i5. And you wouldn't go the 6600K. You'd go something smaller, like a 6100, because they don't overclock. But you have that ability to do that. That's what I like about it. It pretty much does everything else. Everybody else knows all the specs of these things, so there's no point talking about them. $85, good price. Fits well in the sub $1,000 brand. Next one, obviously, is G.Skill Ripjaws 4. 8 gig, two 4 gig sticks, 8 gig RAM. It's the medium of what you should use today, medium to low. $59, 2133 megahertz. It does top out at that board. G.Skill, never had a problem with G.Skill RAM. The tested latency 1535 isn't that great compared to some of the stuff, but again, we're sticking to a budget. We're not trying to go for an uber killer, but 8 gig of RAM is perfect. Again, $59, great value for 8 gig. And the other point is, if you upgrade the board and like to a bigger board later on, more than likely, if you're going DDR4, you're going to be transferring that RAM up with you. So then you just buy another couple of sticks, and then you've got 16 gig, and it will fit into that board. So that's again the upgradability on this board. However, there's no upgrade. I did look for a 8 gig stick, but it was just ridiculously priced, and it wasn't any good. Like in the megahertz range, it was only really low megahertz range or really high. So that's why I got the pick of the G.Skill Ripjaws 4, 2133 megahertz. In the red, I was trying to go with a theme on this one, which was a black-red theme. So again, you'll see a lot of black-red stuff. Next, believe it or not, in this build, $59, SanDisk SSD, 120 gig, perfect for running your operating system and stuff like that on. I wouldn't go. I use a very similar one in my actual system right now. 520 meg read speed, 180 meg write. Okay, write's low, but at the end of the day, you want your operating system on this, and maybe a couple of little programs that you might need. But other than that, you don't want to put games and storage and that on there unless you have to. But for $59, 120 gig SSD fits right into the pack of, like I said, a cheap, reliable gaming build. It will do the job. Again, never had a problem with the SanDisk brands. You can get a 240 gig one. I'm pretty sure 240 gigs around the $100 price point, which is still good value. But when I want to keep everything under that $1,000 value, got to go with something like this. All right. So next up, the storage drive, $69. Western Digital Blue 1 TB. If you're filling that up with games, it's a fair few games, unless they're like big games like WoW. But at the end of the day, even WoW, 25 gig or something like that for most games. You know, you need 4 of them just to make you know, yeah. So 1 TB should be enough for a few movies, some music, and a couple of games. If you need to upgrade that, you can. But what I would suggest, I wouldn't upgrade that so much, as in you just buy an external portable hard drive, put all your major stuff as backups, like your music and that, backups on the portable, and then go for something like that. But $69 again, not too much money, fits in, 64 meg cache, SATA 3, 6 gigabit per second transfer speed. It will do the job when you're playing games. It won't be an excuse for latency for that. And again, you won't get bottlenecks or anything like that with that. Now, the graphics card was hard because I had to toss up between AMD and obviously NVIDIA stuff. I've ended up going with the GTX 750 Ti. Remember, I've done this before some of the new cards have come out, which is the 1080, 1060, 1070 series. And I think their price is going to be a little bit too high. For $189, you're getting a 2 gig card. It's overclocked. It's got all your base features, 1150 megahertz base clock, 1072 megahertz standard, 640 CUDA cores, and the blah 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 goes on. PCI Express 3.0. It's got your DVI and everything like that. It's also got your dual cooling fans. Again, fitting in with that red black build theme. You can overclock these things depending on which ones you get. Shouldn't be too noisy with the twin fans. ASUS stuff generally isn't that noisy. And the other good thing is ASUS has a nice program for GPU tweaking and stuff like that, so you can adjust your fan speed on your thing on the fly. So I would go something like that. It's got your DVI outputs, your D sub, and HDMI. Again, doesn't have your trying to think of the port now, the newish one. Mine's gone completely blank. But again, we're going to a budget. A display port. Doesn't have display port, but we're going on a budget, which means your monitor has got to be cheap as well. So it fits in at $189, probably the most expensive thing here. But it's decent enough. Again, if you wanted to skip on something like SSD, you could put another $59 towards that and boost that, or you could put a bit more money towards your CPU. You can float around, but it's a good solid card, $189. It will play most games on medium resolution, sometimes low resolution depending on the game, but that is something that I would look forward to. And again, at $189, if you find your system's going really well and you just want to get a bit better graphics card, you put a bit more money onto it and get a newer card. I think the 1060s in Australia are coming out around the $500 point, which is very similar, I think, to the RX 480. But you're talking a few $100s more here. So hence why I went for the 750 Ti, unless they're going to bring out like a 1050 Ti or something like that in the future. Who knows? And I'd love to see what the ATI boys bring out in their Radeon series cards, to see if there's going to be like an RX. They got the 480, an RX 280 or something like that. Be very interesting to see if they actually bring something out like that. But at the moment, for this quarter, this is the graphics card we're going for. This is GeForce GTX 750 Ti, overclocked 2 gig. And hopefully in the next quarter there might be a new card in here, depending on what's going on with budgets and stuff like that. And obviously the Australian dollar is a big thing. Power supply, 500 watt, be quiet. System power, be quiet. I've heard a decent quality power supplies. I've never used one myself. I'm pretty sure they're fairly flat cables. I can't really tell by looking at the sleeving. They look like they're sleeved most of the way. Again, it's 500 watt. It will do everything you need to do, and you could probably upgrade it a little bit. It will fit right in. There's two 6-pin plus 2 GPUs, so it will do a dual pin graphics card. Not that you'd want to on a $69 one. Like I said, budget build, great value for money. The next is your monitor. You're looking at $115. AOC E2070 SWN. It's 19.5 inch. It's not big. Had to fit to a budget. 16 by 900 resolution. 5 millisecond response time. There's not much to this monitor to tell really. It's got a D sub connector, 15-pin D sub. It doesn't have built-in speakers. It's got its own power supply. Obviously, it runs at 18 watts. It's very little on power. 5 millisecond response time. It's not going to be the best monitor in the world, but like we said, we're aiming for a thing. It's in black. I actually run AOC monitors at the moment, and this is the same brand. It's like a brushed plastic. It looks quite nice. Fingerprints, they're not too bad on this monitor. But yeah, like I said, sticking to the budget, $115 AOC monitor, not a bad buy. Next is mouse and keyboard. Gaming bundle, red backlight, $55. And I've just noticed something with my build. I don't have headsets in my build. There's no sound on that monitor, so we'll have to fix that up a little bit. And so you've got your Devastator keyboard. It's a membrane. What are they calling it? A membrane mechanical type thing. And the mouse. Basically, it's just got your normal forward, back, mouse buttons on the side, left and right click, scroll wheel, and a DBI on the fly change. It's in red and black. The keyboard is just your standard keyboard. It's got a couple of like your play, fast forward, stop buttons, and your volume up and down triggers. Other than that, it's just a normal everyday keyboard. It will do the job for a mouse and keyboard unless you want to upgrade it. But $55. It's not bad value really for money when you're getting both. I like it. I think it looks nice. Like I said, this one's in the red black. $55 does the job, fits the theme. And last but not least, Windows 10 home 64-bit USB, $149. And there goes a courier. I'm expecting packages. So that's going to come to $997. I'm assuming you've got an iPad or something. You can just use your headphones if you want out of that in your PC. But a cheap pair of headphones, $8 down at Kmart generally does it. That's what I'd recommend, to be honest, if you're just starting and you just want a cheap set of headphones and stuff like that. Just an $8 set. You can go into here. We'll just go into all models. Price loader high. What's their cheapest? Oh, they're $90. They're actually just straight headphones. But if you want a USB headset with a microphone, you're starting at about $50. But you go down to Kmart or somewhere like that in Australia, Target, Officeworks even. I think they have verbatim headsets for like $15 or $8 or something like that. They've got a microphone, they work, you can hear. Do that, or again, just go for a cheap set of speakers. I'm trying to think of what. I don't think these guys, usually Logitech or Creative, have decent low quality speakers. I've never used Edifier, but you know the Z150 is $29. I actually own these ones, the Z213s, $29. It's got a sub, go something like that, but no microphone. So I recommend a cheap headset. Like I said, it's a $1,000 build. You're not going to get much cheaper really than that. I'm just going back through some of these pages to get back to my wish list. So there you go. So for $997, you're going to get a Thermaltake Black Versa H24 mid-tower chassis, a Gigabyte H110M H motherboard, G4400 Pentium, 8 gig of RAM, 120 gig SSD, 1 terabyte hard drive, 2 gig GeForce GTX 750 Ti gaming card, a 500 watt power supply, a 19.5 inch screen, mouse and keyboard, and software. For $997, a good starter pack for the basic person. But like I said, if you've got like a mouse and keyboard and you've got a monitor, you there you go. You could save yourself $160 odd right there, and if you got the software, you could save yourself nearly $300. Yeah, about $300 if you remove those three if you've already got them, and you could put that into, what I would do for $300. I'd probably up the RAM to 16 gig, or maybe up the graphics card, and maybe up the Intel Pentium G4400 maybe to an i3, and stay with the other basics. It just depends on the person, but that's a good starting build for $997. Like I said, it's got everything in it, and that's the aim of that one. All right, so we go on to the under $1,500, so it's an extra $500 on top. Again, I don't think there's no headset in this. Again, this is where you could go add another $49, get a decent, get an actual proper headset. Again, $8 gets you a headset that works. $29 gets you spare speakers if you don't want to talk to anyone. This time I went for the Corsair. It's about $20 more than the last case. Corsair 100R mid-tower case with window. So it's going to look a bit prettier. There's Corsair George there. It's got your front bays if you need them. It's got two USB 3.0 slots, your headphone microphone jack on the front. And being Corsair, it's definitely got decent build quality. Again, haven't built in it myself yet. Might be having a build very shortly. It's got cable management. It's got a puffed out side on the rear part of the case, on one of the side panels that puffs out. That would give you extra bit of more cable management room. I'm pretty sure this one's got a removable tray in it. And my mouse is just going absolutely insane right now. So it's got your sleds there. It's got your 5 1/4 bays there. No, it's just got a big gap. So your sleds will hold 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drives. This thing's not a bad case when you're looking at it. I'm just trying to get the picture of the cooling. So yeah, so they recommend a 120 in the back, but if you have a look, that's a really thick 120 with two 120mm fans on it. So that's going to have to be at least 50, 75. That's probably about 75mm thick at least before it hits the CPU socket. So there's a good idea. It's got your two up the top. It will have two in the front off memory. I've just got to check their cooling specs. They generally tell you, and I can't remember this one, believe it or not. I usually know these off the top of my head. So it's definitely got a 120 in the back, a 120 in the front for standard. I think you can put another 120 in the front, or put like a 240mm, two 120s in the front, and you can definitely put two 120s in the top. Again, if you're going with this, I would put either an air cooler on there or a 120mm cooler in the back, and move that back fan maybe into the front so you got more airflow coming through the front. It's got your side ventilation. It looks clean. It's a very smart looking case. There's your pop out window. I like it. Again, $69, $79, $79. It's got a window. It looks clean. It's got most things on there. You can do most things with it. You can upgrade with it because it is an ATX case, so you can put a newer motherboard or newer whatever. It's got the big slot cut out, so you can put your long graphics cards on if you've got them. This day and age, though, they're trying to stop with the big overlong graphics cards, and that's been a trend for a while. So with this one, instead of the 6600, I went with an i3 6100. Not much to say. It's 3.7 gig dual core. 400 megahertz per core faster than the other one. 51 watt TDP, same as the other one, believe it or not. It does have an inbuilt graphics card, not that you'd use it. Other than that, it fits the right socket. It includes your heatsink and fan, $165. Like I said, it just fit the build. You could upgrade this to something better. But other than that, there's not much to say. It's your Intel. But here's where I differ. I did spend a lot of money on a decent motherboard on this one. So it's $249, and there is a bit of a reason why, and we'll go through it in a second. It looks it looks absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful case. This is your MSI crate, Z170A gaming. It is a Z series, which means you can overclock on this, and there is a bit of a reason. It's like I said, it is a nice looking board, and then look, the features are just there's a million features on this board, but basically it's got your separate audio with your booster in it. It's got your decent heat sinks around everywhere. It's definitely black white. It's got 4 gigahertz DDR4 slots. It does have an 8-pin connector up the top. You got your 24-pin, your USB 3.0. It actually's got side pointing SATA sockets there, which I like. I wish the USB 3.0 was side facing. It's just something that I prefer. And you'll see it's got your dual PCI slots here. So in your white, you've got your GPU. It's got something like, I think it's like 3 system fan headers and a GPU fan header. So obviously for fans and stuff like that, much better. It's got your front audio. It's got your PCI Express slots. So you can put in your sound cards and stuff like that, and your Wi-Fi cards if you need it. And if you have a look here, it's got your old PS2 port. Love that thing. It's great for setting up computers the first time. If you've got your old keyboard set up, DVI. I'm pretty sure. I think that's a USB 3.0 Type C connector, if I'm correct. USB to USB 3.1. Yeah, USB 3.1 Type C port on the back. So that's a handy thing to have. HDMI 2 2.0s, 2 3.0s. Oh, sorry, 4 2.0s. It's got your gigabit network, and it's got your normal audio type of headers. Very pretty board. Great because it's a Z series. You can overclock on this board. Not that the GPU that I've said will overclock, but the advantage of getting this board, if you got the GPU and then later on you want to go to like an i5 or an i7 66K or 77K or 6700K, something like that, you can slot it in this and you can overclock the snot out of them. So the board can be you can use it as a good overclocking board. So for $249, it again fit really well. Gone for Corsair Vengeance 16 gig, 2 8 gig modules, $139. But these are the LED modules, so these are going to be LED white. So it's going to run white LEDs. So with that black white theme, it's going to look really handy. It's running 3000 megahertz on the core. So again, upgradability. It's using the XMP files 2.0. Like I said, DDR4 modules. It's got the light bars on them. These are the red ones that you see highlighted there. But personally, the white ones will look amazing in that white board. There's a silver module. There you go. There's your white lit up. It looks really nice. You can get a couple of those. And again, being 2 8 gig sticks for $139. If you want to upgrade, go 32 gig of memory. You can buy another 2 of those modules and slot them right next to each other. It pretty and well. 300 megahertz on the clock, brilliant. Now this is something of a some people might think I'm a bit weird going for this card. It is a GTX 950 overclock 2 gig. It's $239. I've gone less on this and more on the board. This will suit the current i3 CPU. But if you upgrade your CPU to like an i5 or something like that, you'd want to upgrade this. But $239, it's very small, it's white, it's pretty, it looks great. 1253 megahertz base, 1076 megahertz, 2 gig of RAM and MSI. It will fit with that black crate theming. It's got DisplayPort DVIs, and I think it uses one 6-pin. It can do SLI 2-way if you want. Not that you would, but you can do it. But I recommend you wouldn't. It's got one 6-pin. It only takes 350 watts. So, power consumption is 90 watts. Recommended power supply is 350 watts. So, and it's a small card. It's not going to overclock your system. Overclock your system. You're going to get good airflow through your system with that. And at 239, you can't argue with it. It's going to run most of your games at medium again. But it will work for this build. Remember, we're going to a budget. Next is a semi-modular 80 plus gold, $129 power supply. It's 550 watt from Corsair. The cables don't look the best with the pre-configured ones. You could probably re-sleeve it if you wanted the end, or just get cable extensions for these ones. Pretty easy and cheap to get cable extensions if you just want to make it pretty make it pretty cheap. Semi-modular, so you just add the cables that you need for everything else. To be honest, it will do the job. It's gold power supply, so you're not going to overuse the power supply rating. For this build and a slight upgrade, it will handle an upgrade build as well with all these new graphics cards and that coming out. They're definitely low in the wattage range, so you don't have to go ridiculous. Again, it will fit. It works with 4th generation as well. 92% energy rating. Of course, their stuff generally speaks for themselves. They're generally good quality. It's got 6 SATA connectors, a floppy connector. Don't know why. PCIe connector's got 4. It's got one APS connector, which is your 12 volt, 8 pin generally, and your ATX connector. So it will do what you want and how you want to do it. And $129 works well for me, works well for the budget, and it's good if you want an upgrade. So then we go to your SSDs. Again, black and white theme. Kingston HyperX Fury. I've put one of these in a few computers now that I've done builds for. $65. Never had an issue with them. Yeah, I 420 meg read speed, 120 meg write. Incompressed and compressible data. It's 500 meg read, 500 meg write. What I'd say basically, it works. It's backwards compatible with SATA reference 2.0. It's SATA 3. Again, prime use for this is your operating system and a couple of basic programs, but most of your games and your movies and that, put them on your hard drive. There is a hard drive in this build, and for $65, it's a little bit more than the SanDisk one that I had. A little bit faster in the write speed, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. The same hard drive as the last one, Western Digital Blue 1TB. Again, $69. Can't argue with that. Also, remember these were Australian pricings. The next one is the Octane Gaming Bundle. It's exactly the same as the last one from Cooler Master, except this time you can choose your color on your keyboard and that. So you can choose between the colors of blue, red, green, purple, yellow, aqua, and like a white. So it does have an LED breathing effect. It's not as good as obviously all your top of the range keyboards and stuff like that, but it does the job. And the mouse itself works in the same way. It's got your back forward button. It's also got your DPI sensor up there. You got your scroll wheel. Not much else really to say about that. For $69, it's a what is it? It's a 3050 optical sensor, 10 million quick lifespan. So, and it does have a Windows lock button while the mouse is in high precision mode. So, not that I've ever used that feature, but I don't mind it. And again, $69 keyboard, mouse, done. Finally, we're going to get to the monitor. Obviously, the software's down the bottom. All I've done this time, we've gone up an inch in size, $135. It's an Acer 21.5 inch. Full HD 1920 by 1080 resolution instead of the 1600 by 900 resolution on the last one. So we're in full HD now. Other than that, it's just a normal power cord. I'm trying to think, I can't remember what the connectivity was in this. I think it was a DVI and VGA again. Again, no speakers, but like I said, $8 headset from Kmart or something like that would do the job. And obviously Windows there. What was the megahertz rating on this? I think it was 5 millisecond. Yeah, 5 millisecond response time. 16 by 9 response. Again, it's a monitor that is designed to save money, and 21.5 inch. So all up, it's $1,487, including your software, your mouse, monitor, keyboard. I just got a message, so I'm just going to find that out right now. Got to answer that. So for $14.87, again, it's a mid-price build. It's not designed to kill things, but you can swap things around if you want. Like I said before, you could, if you don't need the operating system and the monitor and the keyboard mouse thing, you're going to save yourself at least $350, $360 there. If you don't need those three things. And again, you would really then look at getting like the i5 series and maybe update the graphics cards, put 100 there and put a couple of hundred there, and you're going to start getting a really good computer there for the extra money that you're saving. But for a 1500 under $1,500 build, your CPU will handle it. Your graphics card, you get a bit better performance, but with that board there and with that RAM there that you've got, and the power supply and the SSD, just with those things there, if you want to upgrade to an i5 later or you want to get a better graphics card, this stuff will handle it and it'll take you to that next step, which, believe it or not, is near the build that I'm running, is the next one. It's very similar to the build that I'm running, I think. So, again, $1,500 Australian. It's got everything there. I've got it into 1487. Make sure you comment. What do you choose in your builds? And lastly, but not least, is the Geekoffaleash under 2,500. So I've jumped up $1,000 here. I've done a $500 jump, then a $1,000 jump. I'm not going to go for, like, the over $3,000 builds and the over $5,000 builds, because most of the time that's way out past people's budgets. $2,500 is getting on the limit. A lot of people's big budgets. Yeah, so it's up to the individual, and you'll see there's a few little extra things in this one. We started off. This is one of my favourite cases of all time. I don't have it. I want to do a build in this. If anyone ever wants me to do a build, get in contact with me if they're using this case, because I'd love to do that. This is the NZXT 340 mid-tower case in black. It is pure black with a little bit of white on the inside. It's got like a white there and the white fans. It's superb looking. But this one here, oh, that's the black-white theme one, sorry. This is the pure black. It's got your black bars in it. It's very stealth looking. It's actually got your PSU cover. It's got your SSD mounts down here. You can pull out this bar if you want. You can keep it in. There's so much stuff here. You got filters in there, filters in the bottom. I think you got one 120 or one 140 mil in the top of this thing. I don't know what it says for fans. Top 140 or 120 in the top. So you've got your fan in the back though. 120 rad support. You can put a 2140 or 2120 in the front, or you can go a 120 in the rear. So you can do a 240 in the front or a 120 in the rear. You can't do it in the top. It's got cable management holes there. This bar here actually protects the cable management, and if you look at the back of this thing, I don't think they do it in this photo. This is the rear. You've got your big where that PSU cover is. You've got all this room for cables. You can put your SSDs down here in your trays, or your hard drives. They're out of view, or you can put the SSD in the front. I've even seen a case where they filled this up with hard drives. Instead of putting the SSDs on the front, they actually just velcroed them in here around the back. It's got a massive cutout for CPU cores and stuff like that. Again, it's got little cutouts down here for your fan cables and stuff like that, and all your front wires running through and down. So really, there's no excuse to show that many cables in this case. And at $109, I could go more expensive, could go cheaper. I like that case. It's a clean looking case, and that's what I'm after. All my builds are clean, and that's what I'm after, most important. Then we come up to the big guns, $339, i5 6600K. Words don't do this thing justice. Well, I'm going to say 3.5 gigahertz, 3.9 on the turbo mode, 4 core. I'm running this CPU at the moment. It's an absolute baller. You can overclock the snot out of them with the right cooling. Something I would go for. You could go for an i7, spend the money and go for an i7, but for gaming, i5 6600K, this is what I run on my streams, and I run my stream and my games off the same computer, and generally speaking, I don't get any lag or any issues whatsoever that I've came into. It's running 95 watt power. It's got that Intel inbuilt graphics card. Yeah, don't use it. It's got included fan and heatsink as well for that price. You, I think there is models that don't come with that and are slightly cheaper, like $10 cheaper. But I always go, oh, this one does not include the fan and the heatsink. Sorry, you can get ones that include it, but generally you don't. You don't want to use the stock heatsink and fan on these ones. You want to go straight for a water cooling thing, and believe it or not, what's next? The Silverstone Tundra TDO2 liquid CPU cooler, $125. This thing's pretty. It's Silverstone, $125. I probably should gone for a Corsair one. I've used Corsair ones a ton. I don't know. I just seen this and I like it. I like how the fins are. The fins are like that are straight, not on a curve. I don't know. It's something about it that I just like. I've actually installed a Silverstone 120 Tundra before. It wasn't that bad of a time installing it. I know some people have problems, but if you've got the right size case and that, and you've done it a couple of times, not too bad. It's 1.5 kilos all up. This thing, you'd whack in the front of this case, and just run the cables out, nice black rubber hose cables. It's got like a carbon type look down the sides. It's running 3.5 millimeters H2O, uses 4-pin PWM, which is obviously that's where your CPU goes. 1835 decibel, 1500, 2500 RPM. You'd probably put that around the 2000 RPM, and you'd probably get an extra, probably be 300 megahertz easy out of it. And temperature wise, it'd probably drop the temperature degrees down, 10 degrees if it's depending on your room temperature, but your CPU definitely won't overheat with this thing. It looks nice. I like to whiten the fans with the butt case. Not that you'd see it anyway, but it's there. Fully assembled, factory free and sealed. It's maintenance free with no refills required. $125, good value for a CPU cooler, especially something like that. Now the next thing, motherboard 259 course gigabyte, GA71Z170X Gaming 3. Very similar to the crate version of the motherboards. This one's a red and white. It's got everything you could possibly want on there. Does have the 3 PCI Express if you want to go 3-way graphics card slots. No point anymore with the new graphics cards coming out. The 1060s and the 1070s and 1080s. They only do 2 ways anyway. You could probably put a third on there if you needed to, but I don't know why. You've got your black-red DDR4 slots, and I can't remember what megahertz. Your SATA bars. It's got 2 front USB 3.0 headers in there, which could total up to 4. On that, you got your 12-pin ATX connector. It's got your amp audio connectors up here. So, very good gaming bundle. And I've got fan headers. There's a heap of fan headers in this thing. It's got a USB Type-C port, and I don't think there's a... Yeah, so you've got your USB Type-C port. You've got your USB 3.0s. You've got USB 2.0s. You've got everything in this thing. I'm trying to think of how many fan headers did it have. I think it had like 5 fan headers, something like that. One water cooling fan header, CPU optional. One CPU fan header. 3 system fan headers. There you go. So it was a total of 5 all up, but 3 system fan headers. 1 dedicated water cooling fan header, and because we're going water cooling, that is a good thing to have. There's your CPU optional, and then your CPU system fan. Sorry, and your CPU one should be. I'm gonna say it's usually around here, but it's not here right now. Can't see. Oh, there it is, right there. So you got your CPU fan header, and then you got your CPU optional. Then you've got your system fan header there, which is great for your fan that's in the back. You got your system fan header there for anything that's in the front. And I think there was one down the bottom somewhere. I can't find it. I'm going blind. I used to be good at predicting these things. So this will overclock it. It will go up to 3466 megahertz on the overclock. So yeah, it will handle up to 64 gig of memory, I think. Is it 100? Yeah, 64 gig of memory all up. So it's a beautiful looking board. Again, $259. This time, 3200 megahertz, 16 gig Corsair red LED, $145. 3200 megahertz. The red LEDs, which are these ones here. Everything you need. XMP 2.0 profiles. And I was going to say my delivery turned up, but no, it didn't. $145. You can add a second one of these and go up to 32 gig if you want on this board, but 16 gig seems to be the norm these days. That's what I would go for. I wouldn't go 32 gig just yet. Then I decided to go really big on the graphics card here. It's a 1070 gaming, 8 gig, $779. Much better than the graphics card I'm running now. So if you're running this and that CPU, you're going to have a beast of a setup. The 1070, 779, it's an 8 gig version. You know, you could, engine support, it is VR ready if you want to go for VR. So that was another thing I was thinking about, was VR when you're coming to this price point. And then when you have a look at this card, it is an air-cooled one. There probably will be GPU water blocks out if you're going to go water cooling. That's a whole different topic altogether. The back plate's got the dragon on it. I love it. I think that's great. If you look at the top, it's got your MSI logo. You've got the red, and then it's just a nice looking card. I love this card. This would have to be one of my favourites so far. It looks the real deal. You got HDMI, display ports, DVI. So it's got everything you could possibly want. $779. Really does the job. Next one is a 650 watt gold full modular power supply. I actually own this power supply. This is actually in my system right now. Can't speak highly enough of it. I've had mine for a couple of years. These are the newer ones. These ones I think come with the flat cables now too. The flat black cables, so there's no point changing that. You know, it's got your 24 pin, your 8 pin, 4 pin. It's got two 8 and 6 pin PCIe connectors. It's got two 6 pin PCI connectors, 8 SATA connectors at 500mm spacing, 150mm, 150mm. 6 4 pin peripheral connectors at 500, 150 and 150, and then it's got two 4 pin floppy connectors, not that you'd use them, but the 6 4 pin peripheral connectors, you know, that's your the Molex connectors, so you use that for if you're getting extra fan headers and stuff like that. So it does everything you'd want. Runs between 0 and 40 degrees Celsius. Full loads 95%, 87% to 90% efficiency at 20 to 100% loading. So I recommend it. It's not loud at all. And being under the bay as well, the cable bay, even though you've got it under there, $150, it's good value. And again, you could step something like that gaming card up and still use two of these if you needed to. The big difference here, went for 250 gig SSD. It's a Samsung 750 Evo, $109 for 250 gig. Great value. I can't remember the read speeds of this one off the top of my head. Was it 5 meg sequential read speed? Sequential write is 520 meg. To be honest, read speed 500 meg is fast enough to put all your programs on. So you can put your operating system and a couple of programs and maybe a game on this. If you want your Counter-Strike or something to load up really quick. But honestly, again, I just gone for the backup drive, the Western Digital 1TB blue, $69, does its job, 1TB storage. Again, you can add more to it later, get an external, which I do. Go for that. And then I went for, it's a weird monitor. It's an AOC MVA 23.6 inch. It's not a 4K monitor. It's just a standard 1080p monitor, 5 millisecond response time. The monitor is MWA. Its input signal is, you got two HDMI 2s or a 15 pin D sub. It's got built-in speakers. Built-in power supply, uses 24 watt of power. Looks good with the black brushed aluminum plastic, which is again what I use. Can be wall mounted if you want. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure again it was not DisplayPort. which a lot of people are going for. But like I said, I want to save money. I want to do a sub 2.5 grand build, which is primarily um, the monitor and like not like the monitor and keyboard and stuff. No, I wanted to put it towards the graphics card and the CPU and the cooling of them. Next up was the TTA Esports Challenger Prime RGB keyboard and mouse combo. So this is been using Coolmaster stuff. This is an $89 one. Packs a bit more of a punch. It's got different lighting effects in this one. You can change to $16.8 million lighting. My trailer is now here. So I'm going to have to round this up pretty quickly. So that is your keyboard and mouse. We're going to go next to Microsoft Windows 10, $2,486. Great start gaming build. This is Geekoffaleash. Have a great day. Hope you like these reviews. Going to do them every quarter. Have a nice day, and please like, favorite, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you would change on all these builds. And that is that, and I will be back in 10 minutes, back on my live stream. If you're not watching on a live stream, I'll be back on YouTube. Bye.